Hi everyone, this is Algebra Lesson 3. And this is about take 3 because I keep messing up. Too tired. Shouldn't be doing it. Anyway, we're going to try again. What is the purpose of algebra? The purpose of algebra is to figure out problems in everyday life. The problem with that is that when we're doing algebra, we use certain terminology and a lot of us don't have a clue what any of it means. So before we can solve problems in real life, we need to know the terminology that these mathematicians are using. So the first terminology or term that I want to talk about is equation. So what is an equation? Two groups of numbers with an equal sign between them. That's an equation. Here's an example. 15 times y equals 45. Equation. Not difficult. Now each side, each group of numbers on each side of the equal sign is actually called an expression. So 15 times y is an expression. 45 is an expression. And then you're going, well, I'm already lost because what's that y doing in there? Because we're not using just numbers, we've got letters. Well, that's called a variable. The most common variables used in algebra are the letters x, y, or z. And we're beginning with just one variable. The variable is the unknown. It's what we don't know. In this equation, you'd have to say 15 times what would equal 45. Now, if you're an adult, you can probably do this in your head and go 15 and 15 is 30 and 30 and 15 is 45. So that's 3 15s. 15 times 3 equals 45. So you'd say, well, y equals 3. That's not difficult. Well, and it's not. And that's kind of a simple way or a simple problem that you kind of use in your head when you're doing math or you're in real life trying to figure out, okay, I have this much money, how many gallons of gas can I get, or that kind of thing. We kind of do algebra in our heads all the time and we don't even realize we're doing it. So it's kind of like the unknown. All right, well, let's continue. Okay, so I want to read not an equation, a problem, like an everyday problem, and then we're going to use algebra to figure it out. So Mike Gleason is a football fanatic. Naturally, when Mike's hometown pro football team made it to the Super Bowl, he had to take his whole family to the game. Yeah. If Mike took 11 people, plus his wife, Sherry, and their 5 kids, along with Mike's dad and his 3 brothers. Okay, so that's 11. Mike plus his wife, that's 2, 5, 6, 7. His dad, 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 brothers, 11. Okay, so it's 11 people. If the total bill for the tickets was $3,025, how much did each ticket cost? Okay, so how can we set this up algebraically so we can figure it out? So the first step is to make a variable, pick out your variable. Let's use x because that's used most of the time. And we're going to represent the thing that we're trying to find. So x is going to be, what are we trying to find? That's going to be the price of each ticket because that's what we don't know. Okay, that's what we don't know. That's what we want to find out. Okay, the next step is to pick out 2 things from the facts that are supposed to equal. So what do we know it's going to equal? We know that we have 11 family members. We know that the total cost of all the tickets was $3,025. And what we have to find out is how much the tickets are. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have used x. Now in algebra, we don't use an x for times. For multiplying, we usually use a dot, or we put the numbers right next to each other like this. Okay? So that's what we do in algebra. Now, so we have so far the price of each, no, excuse me, the price of each ticket, okay, times 11 people is going to give us our total, okay? So we have made an equation. Yay! So far, so good. This is our equation. Now, equations should only have numbers and letters. They should never have like dollar signs or percentage signs or inches or feet or all that. We don't want to put that in there. All right, now we have to find this missing number. We have to find the variable. And that's the number that when you put it in for x will make both sides equal. Okay. You probably know that the formal name for an answer is solution. So finding the answer to an equation is called solving the equation. So we're solving the equation. And let's see if we can solve it. So 11 times what will give me 3,025? Well, I know, and I'm going to write these. I know that if I divide, because I have multiplying, and we're going to talk about this later, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. If I divide both sides by 11, I will find out how much each of those tickets cost. Now, I'm going to tell you, 11 goes into 32 times. Do that. I subtract that and get 8. I bring down my 2. And I have to put a 7 in there because 7 times 11 is 77. And I subtract, all right, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I bring down another 5. 11 into 55 is 5. Oops. There you go. There's my division problem. So I find out that each of the tickets to the Super Bowl cost $275. Man, that's probably cheap to what they are today. I don't know. All right, but that is what we've done is we have used algebra to solve a problem in everyday life. Okay, this, do you see that, is a chart. And this chart helps you set up algebra equation for you to solve yourself. So what does it say? It says step number 1, make x stand for whatever you're trying to find. Step 2, study the facts to find the two things that must be equal, and then write a word equation. Number 3, turn that word equation into an algebra equation with numbers and x, which x is the unknown. And then step 4, find the solution, the answer, which when put in for x must make both sides equal. And then you interpret the meaning of the solution. So that's kind of a step-by-step if you need to figure it out. Now let's move on. This is Snowflake, and she likes to be on television. She likes to be on computer, YouTube. So what is the golden rule of algebra? So we definitely need to talk about that. So the key concept in solving for an unknown is remembering that the equal sign means that both sides of the equation are the same and they have to remain the same. If we add something to one side, we have to add it to the other side to keep the equality or sameness of the equation. If we multiply one side by 2, we have to multiply the other side by 2 to keep the equality, to maintain equality on both sides. So that is the golden rule of algebra. Are you going to behave? Are you going to behave? Or are you just going to push things off of that table? Okay, I'm sorry about the interruption. It's just hard to focus. So the golden rule. So the rule is if we change the value of one side of an equation, we must change the other side by the same amount. It's a little bit like a scale. If both sides are in balance to begin with, they should be in balance after we subtract the same amount from both sides or add the same amount to both sides, etc. All right. If you change one side of the equation, you must change the other as well. All right, so that is the rule, the golden rule, and it's got to be the same amount on each side. Okay, all right, let's continue. Okay, look at this, look at these two equations. X equals 63 minus 25. X plus 25 equals 63. All right, so those equations are the same, but one of them looks easier. This one looks easier because the 63 minus 25 is on one side and the X is all alone on the other. Here we have numbers on both sides. This one is in algebra form. This one is not. It's more of an equation form. So when we're doing algebra, our goal is to solve for the variable, the unknown. So what we are always trying to do is get the variable on one side of the equation all by itself. That's what we're trying to do. So we can do a harder algebra problem by making it an easier one. So 63 minus 25, it's 38. So if I put 38 here, 38 plus 25 equals 63. Is that correct? Yes, it's correct. Are both sides equal? Both sides are equal. All right, let's move on to this problem. X plus 5.14 equals 13.86. All right, here we go. So how can we get rid of this 5.14 off of this side so we can have the X, the variable, on a side all by itself? Solve for it. Well, because the only way we can get rid of this 514 is to subtract 514, because 514 minus 514 would give me 0, and 0 plus x is still x. So we are going to subtract 514 from both sides. So I'll get 0 here, okay? Over here, I get 8.72. Now, what I just did is called undoing. I had addition, and in order to undo addition, I had to subtract. If I had subtraction up here, I can undo it by adding. I have to do the opposite operation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Subtracting a number to get rid of an addition is called undoing. Any addition can be undone by subtracting the same number from both sides. Okay. Okay, that didn't work. Okay. If you want to know you're right, you can always put your answer in for X in the problem. So if I take my answer and I put it back here in X, 8.72 plus 5.14 And if that equals 13.86, when I add them, 4 and 2 is 6, 1 and 7 is 8, 5 and 8 is 13. Yes, that is correct. I have solved by undoing. So equations can be undone by doing the opposite or inverse. And next time we're going to talk more about inverse operations. But that's enough for today. Bye-bye.